Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with a weekly TV roundup. We're going to get things rolling with last week's episode of Arrow, which opens with Ollie finding Thea after her fight with Raish. Ollie gets her to the hospital, though all that can be done for her is having her on life support. After Diggle and Felicity arrive at the hospital and find out what happened, Ollie sees a plume of smoke in the city and meets Maseo on a rooftop, where he tells Ollie that if Ollie takes Raish's place, Raish will save Thea. Diggle, Felicity, and Merlin try to convince Ollie not to go to Nanda Parbat to take Raish's place. However, their arguments all fall on deaf ears. Felicity makes arrangements to borrow Ray's jet to get Team Arrow, as well as Merlin and Thea, to Nanda Parbat. Ray tells Felicity that he knows that she still has feelings for Ollie and that her feelings for Ollie are stronger than hers were for him. Team Arrow arrives in Nanda Parbat and are greeted by the entirety of the League of Assassins, who kneel to Ollie after Raish calls him Al-Sahim. After taking Thea to the Lazarus Pit, Maseo and Diggle have a chat about Diggle's opinion of the League, as well as Maseo's past with Ollie, and his past in general. Thea is placed in the pit and promptly comes out confused and not entirely herself. Felicity and Raish have a talk of differing tones, wherein Raish tells Felicity about how he came to eventually become the man he is today. Ollie tells Felicity that he's unsure of who he is anymore, and the two say their goodbyes to one another and then sleep together. Afterwards, Felicity drugs Ollie in the hope of leaving with him. Merlin tells Felicity and Diggle of a secret way out of the temple and are helped by Maseo. While in the catacombs, Ollie comes to and manages to save everyone by basically explaining he is Al-Sahim and he is the heir to the demon, and escorts them out. Outside the temple, Ollie says his goodbyes to everyone. Merlin tells Thea what's happened once she regains her faculties. Felicity then tells Laurel as well. Back at Nanda Parbat, Maseo confesses to helping Team Arrow, but is ultimately spared by Raish before Ollie begins his transition to Al-Sahim, heir to the demon. Flashback, Ollie, Maseo, and Tatsu go after General Shreve's men to retrieve the Alpha Omega virus. Just as it seems they have it, however, the vial breaks on the street, and that was where the flashback ended. Moving on to this week's episode of Flash. Opens with Barry, Cisco, and Caitlin in Wells' secret room where they meet Gideon, who tells them, amongst other things, that Barry created her. Eddie asks for Joe's blessing to marry Iris, however, Joe refuses. Barry tells Joe and Eddie about Wells' secret room, as well as about how he time-traveled previously. Barry then outlines a plan to get his father out of jail by getting Wells to confess to killing Nora Allen. Cisco, Caitlin, and Barry try to come up with a way to access Cisco's dreams/memories of Wells killing him. They manage to access said memory/dream, and Cisco tells everyone what's happening as it happens in the dream, or memory. Afterward, Wells calls Barry to inform of a fire in town. At the scene of the fire, Barry, with some urging from Wells, puts the fire out. Afterwards, Wells gives Barry a pep talk as Barry hesitated during the fire. Barry and co. worked to recreate the night that Cisco was and then wasn't killed by Wells, with Cisco remodulating the force field, not so much to keep Speedster in, but rather to keep a Speedster out. Iris tells Barry that she's figured out that the explosion at Star Labs created metahumans. Wells walks in on Cisco, only to, after walking into the force field and being shot by Joe, revealed to be Hannibal Bates impersonating Wells. And this also happens before any confession can be made. In the secret room, which will be heretofore referred to as a time vault, the crew find that the Reverse Flash is going after Iris. Reverse Flash kidnaps Eddie just before Eddie proposes to Iris. Barry gives chase, and Iris realizes that Barry is the Flash. Wells introduces himself truly to Eddie, explaining that their family is just that he's from the future. And that's pretty much the episode ends. Moving on to this week's episode of Gotham. Opens with Barbara trying to leave Yoga's place, when things go very badly for her. Bullock brings in a pimp who supposedly knows who the ogre is. Meanwhile, Edward brings in the dismembered body of his victim from the previous episode to dispose of. Alfred goes to identify Reggie just after a copy of the key Selena stole arrives for Bruce. Butch makes an arrangement at the restaurant for Maroni's murder. Later, Gordon asks Penguin to arrange an invite to a brothel called the Foxglove, where the ogre has been seen previously. The ogre works on Barbara psychologically a bit. Bruce triggers an alarm at Wayne Enterprises so he can see what the key goes to. He is, however, caught in the act of investigating by the executive's office he's in. Bruce and the executive talk before Bruce is handed off to Lucius Fox, a junior executive at the company. Bullock isn't at Foxglove very long before pulling his badge, as the brothel is a bit more than he expected. One of the girls is able to give Bullock and Gordon a lead and asks that when they find the ogre, they kill him rather than arrest him. The attempt on Maroni goes horribly south, which was actually just as Penguin planned it, as he truly meant to start a war between Maroni and Falcone. Bullock and Gordon arrive at the ogre's apartment and find it empty. The ogre calls Gordon before he and Barbara arrive at Barbara's parents' home, where the ogre kills them. Well, her parents, that is. Bullock and Gordon arrive on the scene. Gordon finds Barbara and her parents before the ogre knocks out Bullock and attacks Gordon. A standoff is initiated, ending when Bullock comes to enabling Gordon to get the drop on him. Edward talks to Miss Kringle about her being recently dumped, having made a fake letter, which, well, read between the lines. Maroni's men attack Falcones in various locations, leading Captain Essen to cancel all GCPD leaves and call all units in to try and stem what she calls a shooting war. And that's pretty much the end of the episode. Moving on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from this week. Opens with Raina having more visions. Cal and Sky return with Gordon, who tries to rescue Lincoln, and when he returns from his attempt to rescue Lincoln, he does so with an injury just like the one Raina saw in her vision. Coulson and Gonzalez discuss their differences. Deathlock and Lincoln awake in a Hydra base where they are to be experimented upon. Coulson and Gonzalez then come to an agreement about Coulson's plan to take down this specific Hydra base. Sky, Gordon, and Raina discuss rescuing Lincoln as Raina has seen Sky do so. Gordon drops Sky on the bus, making the team going after the Hydra base Coulson, May, Fitz, Simmons, Ward, and Sky. Mac and Hunter begin to mend fences. Bobby and Agent 33 have a bit of a talk as the two met a few times previously. As the bus approaches the Hydra base, it is shot down, though the team is hiding in a Quinjet amongst the debris. Once the team arrives, Bakshi joins Ward's part of the team, and Simmons tries to help Deathlock. Sky saves Lincoln. The team escapes before Gonzalez has the base destroyed. Also, Simmons, while trying to kill Ward, ends up killing Bakshi. After returning to base, Coulson opens the toolbox for Gonzalez and gets a call from Maria Hill. When Coulson shares the data he called from the Hydra base. Then Raina has another vision, this time of metal men destroying cities. Finally, on to this week's Game of Thrones. With Arya performing her duties in the House of Black and White before telling Jaqen she wishes to do more than just sweep. In King's Landing, Tommen and Marjorie are married, much to Cersei's displeasure, and the two also consummate said marriage. Roose Bolton begins to discuss wedding plans with Ramsay, with his son Ramsay, a wedding we learn which will be to none other than Sansa Stark. Brienne and Podrick, who are following Sansa and Littlefinger, discuss each other's past a bit. And, in fact, Brienne decides to start training Podrick in at least the way how to fight. As she puts it, she can't actually knight him, but doesn't mean he can't learn how to fight. Jon refuses Stannis' offer of legitimacy in Winterfell. Sir Davos tries to change Jon's mind afterwards, but with little luck. Arya does away with her belongings as the beginning of her training. She is unable, however, to do away with Needle, and thusly hides it. Later, she begins to help with disposing of bodies in the House of Black and White. Sansa is brought to Mount Caelan to meet Ramsay Snow, her betrothed. Jon makes out assignments at the Wall, but is rebuffed rather rudely by Lord Janis, formerly of the City Watch of King's Landing, leading to Janis's execution. In King's Landing, the High Septon is violently expelled from a brothel by the Sparrows, leading Cersei to seek out the High Sparrow, after imprisoning the High Septon in the dungeons beneath the Red Keep. Tyrion and Varys make their way to Volantis. While there, they watch a priestess of the Red God preach before the two go to a brothel, wherein Tyrion finds himself, one, unable to perform, and two, is taken prisoner by none other than Ser Jorah Mormont, who means to take him to the Queen. And that is it for this week's TV Roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Links to Facebook and Twitter pages are in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off. We'll be back on Saturday with a review of Age of Ultron. Like I said, I'm signing off for now. As always, live long, rock hard.